The stars looked different here. Fleet Leader Vextal pressed his long fingers against the viewing port of the Harmony's edge and studied the unknown region of space. His ship had been exploring for 3 months, mapping new star systems and looking for planets that might support life. The Zephyrians were always searching for new worlds to study and new friends to meet. Fleet Leader, we are detecting something strange, called Science Commander Ithara from her station. Her voice carried the musical tone that all Zephyrians used when they were excited about a discovery. Vextal moved away from the window and walked to the center of the bridge. The Harmony's edge was built for peace and exploration. Its walls were smooth and curved, painted in soft colors that helped keep the crew calm during long journeys. There were no weapons on board, only scientific equipment and tools for making contact with new species. "What have you found?" Vextal asked. Ithara's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she read the data on her screen. "There is a vessel drifting near the 3rd planet of this system. It appears to be damaged. The energy readings are unlike anything in our database." "Show me." The main screen flickered to life, displaying an image that made the bridge crew gasp. The ship, floating in space, was nothing like their own vessel. Where the Harmony's edge was smooth and graceful, this unknown craft was angular and harsh. Its surface was covered in what looked like metal plates, and dark scars ran across its hull. "By the 7 moons," whispered Navigator Tellith. "What kind of beings would build such a thing?" The damaged ship was roughly the same size as their own, but it looked like it had been through a terrible accident. Parts of its hull were twisted and burned. Strange objects stuck out from its surface at odd angles, and several sections appeared to be completely destroyed. "Are there life signs?" Vextal asked. "Yes," Ithara replied, her voice growing more excited. "I detect multiple biological signatures. The beings inside appear to be alive but unconscious. Their ship has minimal power, and life support systems are failing." Vextal felt his heart's beating faster. First contact with a new species was always thrilling, but this situation was also dangerous. These unknown beings were in serious trouble. Inside the damaged ship, Captain Jake Sullivan floated unconscious in his command chair. The USS Liberty had been drifting for 3 days since the battle with the raiders. Most of the crew was unconscious, from the toxic gas that had leaked from the damaged life support systems. The emergency power was nearly gone, and the ship was slowly dying in the cold of space. First Officer Lisa Morgan was the first to wake up. She had been thrown against a wall during the last enemy attack, and her head still hurt badly. She pushed herself up from the floor and looked around the bridge. Sparks fell from broken control panels, and the air tasted of smoke and metal. "Computer, status report," she said weakly. "Main power offline. Life support at 15%. Hull breaches. On decks 4 through 7. Weapon systems destroyed. Communication array damaged." The computer's voice was distorted and hard to understand. Lisa pulled herself to her station and tried to restore some power. The Liberty was a warship, built for fighting and surviving in dangerous situations. Even badly damaged, it was still functional enough to keep the crew alive for a little while longer. As she worked, she noticed something on the sensors. A large ship was approaching slowly. Lisa's training kicked in immediately. Unknown vessels could be more raiders coming to finish them off. "Computer, identify the approaching ship," she ordered. Unable to comply. Design does not match any known configuration. Lisa managed to restore partial power to the main screen. What she saw confused her completely. The approaching ship looked nothing like any vessel she had ever seen. It was smooth and elegant, with no visible weapons or armor. It moved slowly and carefully, as if its crew was being very cautious. On the Harmony's edge, the Zephyrians continued to study the strange damaged ship. "Their technology is fascinating," Ithara reported. "The hull appears to be made from multiple layers of different metals. These beings know how to build things that can survive extreme damage." "But why would they need such strong ships?" asked Tellith. "What dangers do they face in their home space?" Vextal wondered the same thing. The Zephyrians lived in a peaceful part of the galaxy. Their ships were built for comfort and scientific research, not for surviving attacks. The idea that someone might need such heavy protection was troubling. Try to establish communication, Vextall ordered. Use the standard mathematical sequences. The Harmony's Edge began broadcasting simple mathematical patterns that any intelligent species should recognize: prime numbers, geometric sequences, and basic equations that showed they were trying to make peaceful contact. On the Liberty, Lisa heard the strange signals coming through the communication system. She had never heard anything like it before, but she recognized that it was some kind of message. Someone was trying to talk to them. She quickly woke up Communications Officer Brad Turner, who had been unconscious at his station. Brad was groggy and confused, but he understood the situation immediately when Lisa explained what was happening. "It's mathematics," Brad said after listening to the signals for several minutes. "Basic mathematical concepts. This is how scientists think aliens might try to communicate with us." "Are they hostile?" Lisa asked. Brad studied the approaching ship on the screen. "I don't think so. Look at their ship. It doesn't look like a weapon, and they're trying to talk to us instead of attacking." Lisa made a decision that would change everything for both species. She told Brad to respond with the same kind of mathematical signals, showing that humans were intelligent and wanted to communicate. The response from the Liberty made the Zephyrian bridge crew celebrate with joy. They had made contact with a new species, and these beings seemed to be intelligent and peaceful. "Prepare a medical team," Vextall ordered. "These beings are injured and need help. This is the most important day in our exploration history." Neither species realized yet how much this meeting would change their understanding of the galaxy and each other. Captain Jake Sullivan woke up with a terrible headache. The last thing he remembered was the explosion on the bridge when the raiders hit their weapon systems. Now he was lying in the medical bay, breathing clean air for the first time in days. "Welcome back, Captain," said Dr. Patricia Wells as she checked his vital signs. "You've been unconscious for almost 4 days. We have visitors." Sullivan sat up slowly, his head still spinning. "Visitors? What kind of visitors?" "The alien kind," Patricia replied with a small smile. "They saved our lives. Their medical supplies are keeping us alive right now." Sullivan looked around the medical bay and noticed strange equipment he had never seen before. Soft blue lights glowed from devices that seemed to be monitoring the injured crew members. The air smelled clean and fresh, nothing like the smoky, metallic taste they had been breathing since the battle. "Where's Morgan?" Sullivan asked. "On the bridge, talking with them. They've been trying to learn our languages for the past 2 days. They're very smart, Captain, and very curious about us." Sullivan made his way to the bridge, still feeling weak. What he saw there amazed him. First Officer Lisa Morgan was sitting at a table with 3 beings that looked completely different from any human. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged around their heads. Their movements were graceful and careful, and they spoke in musical tones. "Captain Sullivan," Morgan said when she saw him. "Meet Science Commander Ithara, Navigator Tellith, and Medical Specialist Kotham. They're from a species called the Zephyrians." The 3 aliens stood up when they saw Sullivan. Ithara stepped forward and made a gesture that seemed like a bow. "We are honored to meet the leader of your vessel," she said in careful English. "We have learned much of your language from your computer systems. We hope we did not overstep by accessing your databases." Sullivan was impressed. In just 2 days, they had learned English well enough to have a conversation. "You saved our lives," he said. "You can access whatever you need." "Your species is fascinating," Ithara continued, "but we are confused by many things we have learned about you. May we ask you questions?" "Of course." The Zephyrian scientist pulled out a device that projected images in the air. Sullivan saw pictures of Earth, human cities, and historical events that the aliens had found in the Liberty's computer files. "Your world is beautiful," Tellith said, "but we do not understand these images. They show your people fighting each other, large groups of humans using weapons against other humans. We thought these might be entertainment programs, but your computer says they are historical records." Sullivan realized what they were looking at: wars, battles, conflicts from throughout human history. He had never thought about how this might look to a species that had never experienced warfare. Those are real events, Sullivan said carefully. Humans sometimes fight each other. We don't always agree on things, and sometimes disagreements become violent. The three Zephyrians looked at each other with expressions that Sullivan couldn't read. Thara's four eyes blinked rapidly, which seemed to indicate she was upset or confused. "But why would you hurt your own species?" she asked. "Surely talking would solve these problems better than violence." "We tried talking first," Sullivan explained. "But sometimes people want things they can't have or they believe